It's crazy how even when she looks crazy, she's one of the least scary crazy. Like, that's how you know she would, like, ruin my life, because I'd be like, yeah, you know, she looks scary, but she ain't totally bad, right? Because we uploaded our consciousness to the ship, right? We digitalized our mind by giving her a body that isn't in use. Yeah, that makes sense. Yo, you might get ripped to shreds, but ain't no one missing you, bitch. That's amazing. Okay. That's fantastic. I didn't realize Jinna had it in her to be that much of a bitch. I love that. But then you came back to me. So now it was my turn to save you, sort of a thing. You think they're leaving it up to interpretation? If Yuri wakes up there or not? That's kind of the vibe they're giving me. Oh boy. Of course, those are just some of the highlights. Full live reaction is over on my Patreon, and we'll catch that to any of these episodes of Gnosia. But let's talk about it. We have the ending of the Gnosia anime, and I'm sure it will be conflicting to many people. There isn't a lot of thought currently floating around online, but I'm already seeing a divide. This is confusing. Does this even make sense? And to be honest, this is the type of show that even I'll need to do a rewatch to fully comprehend. But I do think they left it slightly open to interpretation on what the ending means. Though I think there is more argument to be made that Setsu was right and that Yuri was able to stay behind when the Silver Key left. Yes, Yuri was convinced that when it was all said and done, going back, you know, having all the causes and effect line up, Yuri the bug, especially because talked with the Gnos, like, hey, eliminate me when I'm done, should have eliminated Yuri because Yuri was a bug that wasn't supposed to exist. But when you see everything tied together with Manan, which we haven't heard that name in a bit, and then when you start thinking about the doll, like I say, I can't say her fucking name, so I'm always going to refer to her as the doll. There was times where she said, I don't remember the exact episode, it was like midway point, something like that, where I think she hugged Yuri, and it was something along the lines of, you'll understand everything someday. Now we have our answer on why that is. The idea that we are in a loop, right? So we end up, you know, getting the key, we give the key over, everything should be ending here. And then Setsu takes control of the driver's seat and says, hey, SQ is the Gnosia. Reason I know, look at this silver key, it's full. I'm not inexperienced, I'm literally at the end of a silver key. Because every time little cute SQ, that means it's Manan, it means the mother. And the fact that the whole concept of Manan as a character was that eternal youth. So how do you do that? You give a body that doesn't deteriorate or age, and you give the ability to time travel. Yeah. Now you can make the argument, well, didn't we just send a Gnosia into another world with a ability to loop endlessly? For one time, yeah. But as we know, she wasn't always a Gnosia. There's going to be times where, because think about it, Yuri and Setsu both had the ability to loop. Sometimes they were a Gnosia, sometimes they weren't. Same thing with Manan. Just because currently is doesn't mean always will be. And it's interesting when you start thinking about earlier pieces of this show, and you're like, oh, wait a second. Yeah, that actually is starting to make a lot of sense, and I feel like they actually tied up everything rather well. I mean, it's one of those things that it kind of ties it all together. The big thing will be, well, how the hell does Yuri wake up, right? Because if you look at the very end of this episode, Yuri actually looks like they're fading away, like they're disintegrating or something during the hyperspace. I think it's mostly just due to the directing of them being launched at very fast speeds. But yeah, it does look like Yuri didn't die here. But how would that happen? The whole thing is that a bug Yuri's consciousness and a real Yuri can't exist. And I think there's a lot of arguments to be made. They are very much the same person anyway. It's like a copy. And I think the concept of the key leaving and just one body of Yuri here means that when this Yuri wakes up, I mean, it's still just going to be Yuri. I think it's one of those things that you could make an argument if you really want to. And I think it's purposely left a little ambiguous because some people are going to want Yuri not to wake up here. And I think that's fine. I think if you think Yuri needs to not be able to exist once the key leaves here, I think there's a good argument to make for that. But I also think with how they set everything in motion throughout the show, and like I said, without rewatching it from the beginning, which I do plan to do eventually, I won't be able to make 100% this is what I believe, but my gut reaction is Yuri wakes up and everything's fine. I think they tied their shoes well. I don't think they're going to trip. I don't think there's a lot of room for error when you look at how everything happened here and be like, oh, plot hole. I think you could have left it off at episode 18 and it would have been a bittersweet ending. And I think maybe there's room to argue maybe it's also a little bittersweet. Like, it's not like every character was here. We didn't have all 15, 20 characters. I don't even know how many characters there are. But it was just the 5. But I think every universe is different, right? There's infinite possibilities. I mean, in theory, we can make the argument, if both Yuri and Setsu here aren't looping anymore, this is who they're left with. 2/3 of the characters are not in this loop. That's a little bittersweet, right? We finally reach a positive ending, but we couldn't have this ending because the only reason Setsu was able to do what they did is because the Captain Jonas wasn't there, and therefore she was the highest ranking military officer, which allowed her to open up that cargo, which allowed, because the only time Manan would ever be able to go inside that body is if Setsu was in control. It's not going to be a totally happy ending, but there's going to be plenty of universes where those other characters still exist and are fine. I just think they did what they needed to here, and it actually leaves me very satisfied. My personal hope, and I think this is what I'm going to leave thinking, Setsu's right. Yuri will wake up, and Setsu and Yuri get to have their happily ever after together. And yeah, there's going to be some universes where Manan be looping and causing a fucking ruckus. No wonder she crashes through that fucking wall, here's Johnny style, right? But it's not always going to be bad. I mean, the Silver Key needs someone who truly loves the game. And what better person than someone who gets to loop endlessly in an eternal body? You know? And no more daughters having to be fucked over because of it. I feel like it's satisfying. Like, time travel's an iffy thing because not everyone's gonna understand time travel to the same degree as others. And hell, even as someone who thinks he understands the concepts of time travel and how these stories write it, even I'm always like, oh man, I didn't think of it that way. You'd have to be like balls deep, this is your only passion, to understand every nook and cranny of a time travel story. But even if you understand this show at a base level, I think we had a damn good time with it. I think they covered their tracks where they needed to, and I don't really feel like there was a loose end. I mean, I'm sure there'll be some people over the weeks who will come in and be like, oh, I thought this was a loose end, and maybe I'll just disagree because of so-and-so information, or maybe some information will be brought to me and I'll be like, you know, I kind of see where you're coming from. I just think it's a 10 out of 10. I do. I've been saying that for a good while, that I feel like this is a 10 out of 10 anime. And it's interesting to see criticisms that people have had over the weeks. Oh my god, I can't get connected to characters because they might turn out bad. There's the, oh my god, this arc didn't make sense because of blah blah blah, but then it's like, bro, but the arc did make sense because of like 5 minutes into the very episode you're criticizing. I don't know. The show obviously won't be for everyone, but I think, as I've been saying for so long, there was only one director who could have made this probably work as well as they did. And of course they were involved in Steins Gate, right? The fact that even game players didn't know what to expect with this epilogue of 3 episodes because it wasn't in the game, this was a passion project. I think there is absolutely an argument to be made this could have lasted another 12 episodes showing different loops and stuff, but I can't deny it's a satisfying 21 episode run. You can let me know what you thought down below on the Gnosia ending, the anime as a whole. If you're a game player, how did you like the adaptation? Let me know what you're feeling down below. Make sure you drop a like, share your support, subscribe, ring that bell if you haven't already, and Patreon. You can catch the full live reactions to all the episodes. We didn't always talk about it weekly on YouTube, but we did do all 21 episodes over on Patreon. And hey, if you're already over there, I'll give you video shout out because my patrons are what make these videos possible. All right, so today we got Arneb Bala, Kim Andre Olsen, Jacob, Conrad Sosen, Tobias Reinhold, Flav Dorks, 12X, Drift, Ukando Itsuhuzi, and we also have Link Hitsu. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care. You know, have a good one.